Sometimes the cashback reward, it can be a not insignificant portion of the overall profit that the business is generating.
Hey, Matt. So
Hey,
here's what I got for you today. We're going to talk about optimizing and actually decreasing Amazon ad spend, which is obviously something my company spends a lot of time. I myself have dedicated so much of my life to looking at Amazon advertising campaigns, how to obviously responsibly get that as efficiently and as profitable as possible for our products, for clients' products, while of course increasing sales. So this is a big topic, but surprisingly, what we're going to talk about today actually has nothing to do with bid adjustments, with campaign structure. It's as simple as changing a payment method, actually. And so I think this isn't a super, I don't know if this is a deep cut. I suspect that a lot of businesses you work with, Matt, already might leverage something like this. But on the sample size that I see from companies that we work with, I actually don't see as many companies as I would expect fully leveraging this. I don't want to call it a trick, but strategy, which is simply put, Amazon allows you to have a different payment method for your ad spend than from the rest of your account. And there are credit cards that are structured in a way that they have special incentives for basically cash back on digital ad spend. So basically overnight, not touching any bids, not doing anything different about in your advertising than what you currently are, you could reduce your ad spend by a little bit. Again, we're not talking massive savings here, but I think a marginal difference that's significant by just simply switching out that payment method to a different source, one of these credit cards. So we were talking about this a bit before, Matt. I know you've got some experience with this kind of strategy. I want to hear your take on it.
yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I would think virtually everybody would be doing this, but I would say of the clients we have, it's probably only about a 50% participation rate in terms of people who use a credit card to pay for their Amazon ad spend versus people who just have it taken out of what would otherwise be their distribution. We see some pretty big cashback reward numbers, and sometimes the cashback reward, it can be a not insignificant portion of the overall profit that the business is generating. I mean, it seems silly not to, obviously one of the reasons people might not is if they just don't have a credit card
Right.
limit that is workable with the amount of ad spend they have. But I would say if that's your situation, get that credit card going, try to get that limit up as quick as you can. And the faster you can deploy that, the more quickly you can see those cashback rewards coming. But I agree. It's an easy way to recapture some of what you're spending that would otherwise just be lost. And this way it goes right back in your pocket.
Totally. And we won't spend a ton of time on this only because people can, on their own time, sort of review the different options. Some people might be currently leveraging, basically paying for ad spend with a credit card. You might not be, I mean, some of you may be, but you might not be using cards that are most optimized for this, meaning your standard 1 to 1.5% cashback reward is standard credit card. But there are credit cards out there that cater to this business need for folks. And so I've just pulled up a blog that we wrote about it. We'll, of course, include it in the show notes. But people on their own time can review each one and the merits thereof of these individual cards. But just know that even if you are thinking like, oh, I already use a credit card to pay for ad spend, it's worth exploring, looking at some different cards that might actually have higher rewards specifically for digital ad spend. So the best one that I came across in the research that I did was the American Express Business Gold Card. Some of these, of course, have annual fees. Take that into account. But we spend a lot of money on Amazon ads, as do a lot of our clients. It probably makes sense, even with the annual fee, what you'd be getting back in terms of the cashback rewards. And there's cash flow benefits too. If you put stuff on a card, and then 30 days later, there are all sorts of benefits to paying for this cost, this expensive ads with a credit card. But even if you're using some other business credit card you might have, you might want to look at exploring one of these that has specifically that higher tier of reward for digital ad spend.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, not all cards are cut out the same. And these specific ones that you called out here, we see actually quite a bit. Amex very often, the ink cards quite a bit. And I think that's because the people who thought about using a card also then took the time to look a little more closely. And if you can get 2x, 3x the points versus 1x or 1.5, again, why not? It doesn't require any extra effort on your part other than signing up for the card and of course factoring in the annual fee. But there are also some other perks that go with the cards. And like you said, with 30 days to pay, you're getting twice as much cash flow as if you're having it coming out of your once every 2 week disbursement. Make sure, of course, that you can pay the balance down successfully every month, right?
Yeah.
Don't go and spend that money somewhere else that you didn't use to pay the card
Right.
every 2 weeks. Or you may be in a position where you need to pay the card more frequently to keep it under the balance limit. But again, it's not a trick, I would agree, but it's definitely a strategy that you can employ that just helps cut your ad spend a little bit and brings some dollars back into the business. So it seems to me like a simple no-brainer kind of thing to do if you're spending any kind of money at all on Amazon ads, which hardly anybody isn't spending ad money these
Mhm.
days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the highest expenses, and so many of the businesses we look at is what they're putting into the ad spend. You were telling me, Matt, and you're the only person I would trust to know if this is true or not, but there's some sort of tax advantage here too, right?
Yeah, so you want to make sure if you're tracking your cashback rewards on your profit and loss, which we do when we do accounting, because clients like to see how much did I actually get back this month. But it is important to note that money that you get that we record as other income coming back to you is not taxable. So credit card rewards, whether you take it as miles or you take it as dollars, is not taxable. So you want to make sure that your tax preparer isn't inadvertently including that money as part of your income, and that you are making sure that you've broken it out so it's not lumped in with other income and tax, because it is in fact tax-free income, which is always an added nice bonus to otherwise getting money, is to also not pay tax on it.
That's a beautiful thing. So yeah, that is another. I mean, if the savings weren't enough of a benefit, again, we're not talking about for most people $100,000 or $200,000 a year in savings. I mean, the way these cards are, they tap out at a certain point anyway. Once you see to reach a certain threshold and that higher percentage of rewards, but I mean, still, it's significant. Amazon ads is already competitive enough. You're already paying so much for that spend for those clicks. You can get a little bit of back, basically reducing the cost per click in a sense, even by this really nominal small amount. I think it's a no brainer. And like you said, Matt, if folks haven't started with that business credit card, they should just get one because there's tons of other perks besides this. Obviously, this being one, but there are others as well that are beneficial. So get a card, start building that credit now and getting that limit higher and higher because there's some real tangible benefits and savings to be had here with the advertising.
Agreed.
Awesome.